Ding dong, the mole is dead. Da, 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 da. Hi everyone, welcome back. My name's Dawn and I garden in Zone 8B. And today we're starting in the greenhouse. And most of my seedlings are out and planted, but I still have several left that need to get into the ground ASAP. We are going to be planting up these 3 varieties of Celosia in the cut flower garden: Pampas Plume, Flamingo Feather, and Salway Terracotta. And you'll learn all about my oops and what not to do when potting up your seedlings. We're also going to be planting up these cute little hanging baskets that I have on the front of the greenhouse. Anyways, I hope you'll stay tuned. We'll try to get that cut flower garden ready so we can get going with some of these summer cut flowers. I'm so grateful you are here. Please leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys. All right, let's get started. I only have one tag, and so I have 2 flats here, so I'm a little confused as to what's what. All I know is that I sowed Flamingo Feather Celosia, Salway Terracotta Celosia, and Pampas Plume Celosia. And unfortunately, I still have to get them in the ground, and it'll just be guesswork from this point forward. Don't do what I did. Make sure you put your tags on there. It's very likely that I had them tagged and they fell off just when we were pulling plants out of the greenhouse and stuff. That's my objective. We're going to get them into the cut flower garden. The cut flower garden needs a lot of work. We've had a lot of rain in the last few weeks. The drainage is really, really poor. So I'm going to be working on amending that soil, getting some good shale in there just to help absorb some of that water that has definitely been falling over the past few weeks. The cut flower garden is in pretty bad shape. All of the zinnias you see here are reseeds from last year. One of the hardest things to do is pull them, but I'm going to pull them and give them to family or friends because I don't really want them to go to waste. A lot of them even have buds on them already. But I did plant zinnias on this side already. I am growing ballerina and Benary's giant, which several of them have blooms on them already. And so this side is saved for the celosia. And I do have a few sunflowers already in bloom that are so pretty. They're nothing that they were supposed to be. They were supposed to be orange, but they are not, but still very gorgeous sunflowers. And I've got my snapdragons all in grow bags back here because my cutting garden is never big enough for my needs. So I'm going to be pulling these zinnias up, adding some expanded shell. You can see how muddy the dirt already is, and it's been several days since we've had the rain. So the fact that it still looks like it does just lets me know that this water is not draining. This is a really bad area for our drainage, and the water doesn't really have anywhere to go. This is kind of where it collects. If you have clay soils, there's pros and cons to a lot of water. One of the pros, obviously, I never have to water. One of the cons, the roots can be sitting in that and cause root rot or cause your plants to struggle more than they need to, cause disease, funguses, all those type of things. Fortunately, we have a shutoff for the cut flower garden. My husband, when he put the drip along here, we knew that the drainage was bad, so he installed an on and off switch here. So when I run the sprinklers, I can keep it off, which is super, super helpful. So first thing I want to do is save these zinnias. So I've got one of my pots here, and I'm not going to worry about digging them up. Since this is so wet, they're going to come up very nicely. One of the hard parts now is I don't know along here which ones are old and which ones are new. So this is probably one of my most unorganized years in the cut flower garden. And I think it's because it was a little bit neglected because of all of the backyard work we were doing with the pollinator garden. I did not take the time to do this right. I think I was kind of rushing a lot this year. And what I'll do is just throw some good dirt on this and hand it over to some friends. One of the first things I'm going to do so that I can do good work is get rid of this twine. This is from last year. I have tried netting before, not successfully. I didn't feel like it. I don't know, maybe I put it in wrong, but I just didn't feel like it was everywhere that I needed to be. And I kind of feel like this twine is a little more usable. I don't know. I just found the netting was very stretchable. If they're loose, I'm just going to knock them a little further in. Till they aren't loose anymore. So what I've been doing over time, because when I created these beds, we did not do anything about the drainage. So as I've been adding my cut flowers, I add a little bit of expanded shell into each hole, and eventually this whole area will have good drainage. Over several years of my adding that, that should definitely help. I just do it as I go, and I'm hoping it'll eventually work. Hi, Lucy. No, no, no. See, she's coming straight to that rose tone. Go. My husband loves pickles. So these are the brand, this is the brand he likes, Grillo's Pickle Spears. And they make the best container for gardening. When the pickles are gone, I've been saving all of these containers. They're hard plastic and they're perfect for everything. Everything gardening. Holding dirt, this is rose tone. I just put the rose tone in here, but I've got a nice little collection of gardening containers. Lucy, I'm not going to let you around that rose tone, no matter what you want. Not going to happen. This area where my cut flower garden is now used to be where we had our fishing boat. And when we got the greenhouse, because the fishing boat, it kind of just got, well, it was a fishing ski, but it just got to where we never used it. My kids were growing up, activities, then they went off to college, blah, blah, blah. So we donated it to charity, and then we ran into that greenhouse at Costco, and it's history since. So we were able to put that greenhouse and this cut flower garden in where the boat used to be, and it's been wonderful. So much more useful. And we do miss having the boat, but my husband got himself a little kayak instead to go fishing, and then that has been working just fine. Who knows? Maybe we'll get another boat one day, but for now, this is doing great for us. Honestly, I always have more seedlings than I do space. I think every gardener's like that. Right? Is it just me? I can't imagine it's just me. Then we have a holly tree around our pool, and I trimmed it earlier because it was just hanging down into our sidewalk area. And I think some cardinals nested in that tree. I could hear the babies, and they're going nuts right now because I was messing around their nest. I don't know if y'all can hear them, but the mama and daddy are just flying all around me. Surprised they haven't attacked me yet, honestly. I can see that this must be the terracotta. There's a little bitty flower. and it's a beautiful color. So I was wanting these because of the Veneri giants. Thought that terracotta color might be gorgeous. You know, that's my new fan favorite. That's my new fan favorite is the orange in the garden. Look at this big old worm. That is such a nice sight. Gorgeous. So all about Celosia. Celosia does not like a lot of water. It likes to dry out in between waterings. It likes good drainage, hot, hot, hot weather. It's one of my favorite cut flowers for this Texas heat because it will give all summer long with nothing in return. I do a slow release. Like I said, it's the rose tone, and then I'll add a bloom booster throughout the growing season just to get a summer load of color and keep it going all summer long. At this point, all I care about when I get the twine out is making sure that it's super tight. And I usually put a couple of layers, one at the very bottom and one at the top as the plant gets a little bit taller. I also put an outside border all around it for obvious reasons. But I don't have any other rhyme or reason to it. I just put it anywhere and everywhere so that every branch that flies off of these celosias has some support. And I usually just kind of wrap it around. And I'm sure there's an easier way, but this is just how I do it. And I thought I tipped off my celosia, but I guess I didn't. I don't see where any of them are tipped off. All right, the sunflowers, they're already tied up with some old, so I'm just gonna rewrap them with the new to all of the existing. This is great twine. I love it. It never breaks on me, but I still just like to replace it because I like a nice tight hold for these plants so that they're not leaning in the middle of the summer. When we built this, we put a drip in it. Most cut flowers don't like overhead water, so if you can help it, that would be great for them. And I just want to be careful by where I stick this in because I don't want to hit one of the drip tubes. There's a grub. That out for the birds. And I think this is a good spot right here. Okay. I think I need another one. Let's see. Right here. So there is a hose right there. So I'm just going to go right on the side here. Now you can see how much give these have. So I'm just going to rinse and repeat on this side, cutting off the old and putting in the new. My last video, when I was planting the pentas, I used some dirt that had been sitting in the wheelbarrow for a couple of weeks, and that dirt was full of baby grasshoppers. So I know a lot of them got out in my yard, and I can see the damage on these zinnias, and I bet anything it's from those grasshoppers. And there's really, gosh, there's just not much you could do about them except for catch them by hand. Last thing I want is to stumble upon one of those things when they get big. Those things freak me out. I can handle the babies, but not those full-grown things. But since these little cardinals are in my yard right now, I'm hoping they're taking care of all the babies. That would be really, really nice. I'm not a big fan of the wood poles. They get eaten in the dirt, whether it's termites or not sure what, but these steel poles last longer than the wood. I'm not a fan of the steel poles either. My favorite are actually just the bamboo. They tend to put up with the greatest amount of weather and they tend to last the longest. I just like the bamboo in my actual landscape better, so that's where I tend to use them. Cut flower garden gets the ugly stuff because it's not exactly pretty. The steel ones, after a few years, the poles bend or break. Not helpful at all. Okay, I got another twine. It's a staple. I just always keep extra in my shed. But the cutting garden has several different sizes, mostly because these really thick ones are expensive. And I have not found them to be any better quality. The steel inside, it rusts and it breaks. So I just tend to have the big thick ones around the perimeter, and then I use the little thin ones around each plant. And that way I can secure it to the pole if I need to, if the rope is not, or if the twine is not doing a good job of holding the boundaries. That's how I'll use the little individual poles. And they're cheaper, so when the big ones break, it's just a lot more user-friendly to replace those little ones. But I always put the rope on the outside to draw a straight line because I need the boundaries along the exterior, like a big square. So I need the boundaries to stop it from going in onto my little walkway, because the walkway is the only way I can really access this garden. All right, before I show you, look at can you see the gorgeous coral color that one zinnia is? So pretty. So it basically just looks like a huge spider web all over the place. Spider webs everywhere. So unattractive. But this is back here with our veggie garden, hidden behind our roses. Well, I say hidden, but eventually the roses will be high enough to hide the ugly. All right, the last thing I want to do is just kind of do a little sweep, get all of the mulch and everything off of the steps, just so it's a little more presentable. Especially since my Peggy Martin is coming out of bloom. It held such a pretty background for this area. So when there's no cut flowers in here from the winter, this area gets too much shade in the winter, the Peggy Martin will come into the spring and get beautiful, beautiful, beautiful flowers. All right, let's get these weeds out of here. It's been about a week since I got the cutting garden all fixed up, and a lot of zinnias have popped open between now and then. I just kind of wanted to go through and show you some of the zinnias that are coming into bloom. These are the ballerina series, and I'm liking them so far. Very soft, muted shades of pink. And then over here are the Banary Giants. Also just lots of interesting and beautiful shades. I think I showed you that coral one, but it's starting to fill out. Some reds coming in and some oranges back there. Look how vibrant that shade is. I'm thinking this looks like a ballerina. But I thought y'all would like to see that update before our video ends today. As far as Celosia goes, not that much excitement. Little babies coming in, but not anything huge. It looks like I need to pinch these, which I thought I already did, but I guess I didn't. I like to pinch them, just get more buds out of them. Wow, I'm way behind with this. And this sunflower is going nuts. Can't believe how many are on it, but it's beautiful and huge. And then this is interesting. Look, it's just the... Isn't that weird? I don't know what's going on with that, but it's pretty cool looking. You ever seen anything like that? So this will all be seed. So I guess I'll let it go to seed and save these for next year. There's my sweet little petunia. She's always waiting for me. She follows me everywhere. Hi, Luce. You just watching Mommy in the garden? You just watching me? Sweet girl. Wanna say hi? Oh. I wish I could provide you guys with the sensory experience that is this polka rose right after I walk in my back gate. Isn't it beautiful? And it's starting to really put on some growth. I realized I made a mistake when I planted it. I initially had a Lady Banks planted right next to it. And I wanted the Lady Banks to kind of fill in because I knew it would take a while for the polka. And I was just going to cut the Lady Banks or dig it out and place it elsewhere. But the roots are now so close together that I just did not give it much thought that when I dig up my Lady Banks, it's going to injure the polka. And just, didn't think about it till after the fact. So I'm going to have to give some thought about how I'm going to handle this. And then here's the lace wings that are doing nothing. I put the little boxes and larvae out everywhere, and I'm just not seeing anything hatch. And I've been checking it nonstop. Turn around and give you some close-ups of the Sexy Rexy Floribunda. Another beautiful rose. It just smells so heavenly down this sidewalk right now. The Mystic Spire Salvia is starting to come in. I was a little concerned. It's been real slow to come in. And I was concerned it wasn't coming back. But once it starts growing, it's growing like wildflower. Wildflowers. I do like to give updates with each video on what's blooming. The mermaid lavender is still looking amazing. And down here, this dianthus, same, has really, really added so much color right now. And also, we'll go over here. I'll go slow and let you see the Russian sage. All of them have put on the most gorgeous shade of blue. I'm so excited about these filling out and getting bigger, filling this whole area. And then the balloon flowers. Still looking so pretty. And then over here, the columbine is putting on some really cool looking blooms. I'll point out that that bear's breeches is still just getting bigger and bigger. Y'all, this flower stalk is like 2.5 feet tall. It keeps going and going and going and going. This thing is incredible. The Greg's Mist flower has few blooms getting ready to open up. So should start seeing butterflies super, super soon. And of course, the hydrangea back there. See my white mist flowers along the back. This one is just struggling back here. So oh, look at that. Yep. Can you guys see the mole tunnel? Can you see how the ground is raised up? The mole's been back here recently because I've been working back here and this wasn't here. I wonder if that's why this mist flower is struggling so much. Huh. Well, what I need to do is come and cut off all of the dead growth. The rest of them are all fully formed. And this right here is exactly why. I don't know if you can see it. Watch, let me just step. Watch how deep my foot goes. Now, can you see the difference between, oh, you still can't tell. Well, anyways, that's probably why he's struggling. So I'll come in and cut off all this dead growth. And the mole loves this area because it's wet. It stays wet along this wall. Look at that. So he's back, which means I'm going to start losing plants. So I'm going to have to keep an eye out. But I like to step on his tunnels because if the tunnels go up again, then I know I have an active tunnel and I'll put my gopher hawk. Anyways, there's a full-blown white mist flower. And it will bloom for me in the fall. So it'll just keep putting on growth, reaching for the sun until the fall. And then Shannon over at Grow Roots had the most beautiful desert rose. I found one like about a couple months ago at a nursery and picked one up. And she's just been hanging out here in my greenhouse looking beautiful. Meanwhile, I have done nothing to her. No water, nothing. She's still out here making pretty flowers. I'll need to tune into her video and figure out how to take care of that thing. But I think my next project is to, let me step back and show you the mess that I'm never proud of, but I continue to share it with you guys so that you can see my serious greenhouse problem. It's filthy. So I'm going to get this thing cleaned up and start planning the floor, the cute little stenciled floor. I've got a couple of baskets I need to put together. I have hanging baskets on the outside of my greenhouse, so I want to get those. I think this is them right here. Was I not just talking about that mole? Well, I was working in the yard, moving my parsley. I put it all here. I put all my parsley right here. And as I was moving it all, literally right at my feet, I hear a squeaking noise as the mole is coming out of this hole right here. There he is. He's dead. I can't believe it. My timing is perfect. If you don't know this, I constantly struggle with moles in my garden. Constant. They kill my plants left and right. I'm not a mole fan. But if I can kill one now, this is great because only one mole will occupy your yard at a time. So if you can get rid of it, then you'll have several weeks without a new one moving in because they think you have an existing mole living in your tunnels. And so they don't try to occupy your yard. So this is good because it has probably been about a month before I killed that other one. I was using a gopher hawk by my drift roses where it's another constant space for the moles. And we got one over there. So I'm excited about this one. Who knew I would ever care about that so much? But they literally, if you know gardening, it's a constant battle against whatever pest is in your yard. But moles, They're the worst because you can't see them. There's nothing you can do about them. So I got super, super lucky. Woo! Ding dong, the mole is dead. Da, 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 da. Let's go ahead and plant up these cute little hanging baskets that I have on the front of the greenhouse. Let me show you how. I got them on Amazon. I'll put the link below, but I love them because they're flat on the back side. See that? And they just hook on and they make the greenhouse look so much cuter than it is. And I already have drip run. So I don't know where the end of my drip cord stuck in the sedum somewhere. So I just have the drip run into here. So I never have to water them. That's the only thing about hanging baskets. They dry out so quickly. But the drip runs, I have a hose over here that waters my pots and my hanging baskets. And so it comes out here and then it'll run up into here. So we're going to get those planted up today. I have just some spreading zinnia. I thought these could go into the greenhouse baskets. And then I have some pink pentas that haven't quite started flowering yet. And then I have some really dark mondo grass in the front. Let me go show you what I'm talking about here. It's getting lost in the mulch. See that? But it's so pretty. So I thought that the hanging baskets might be a great place to put it. And I think it'll be a nice addition. It'll actually get seen versus over here where it's getting lost. It's in my front yard next to the lamb's ear. And these are Agastakis. So I'm going to be digging this up and putting it in those containers back there. So these hanging baskets are going to get the creeping zinnia. This is the graffiti true pink penta. And then I've got my mondo grass dug up here. And then I think I'm going to also dig up some dichondra falls and get that situated. But we're going to start with just filling these baskets. Let's get this mondo grass. I like to mix my rose tone and my potting mix together before I start putting it in the containers. So I'm just going to form my little mixture here. And oh, the labels are still on. I think the labels will be to the back, so I'll be good. Doesn't always fit very good without things in it to weigh it down. So I'm just going to start adding the dirt and it'll open it up. But first, let's mix it. The rose tone was all the way at the bottom. Let's get a good mix. If you can hook drip up to your containers, it's a game changer. It makes having containers so much easier. Not having to water them every day is such a reward. So you still have to fertilize them with a liquid fertilizer. So this rose tone is slow release, but you do need to hit it with a bloom booster or liquid fertilizer throughout the season, just because the nutrients do go so quickly in baskets like this. We're gonna split this mondo grass and put it on the corner here. And then I think I'm going to go dig up some dichondra and let it fall right here. I'll be right back. The best things that's happened in my garden is the perennialization of this dichondra all over my yard. I'm able to dig it up whenever I need it. for all my baskets. And this is just one of the spots that it has done that. The reason it's done that is I have this basket here where I just let it overflow and then it just roots down onto the dirt below. So it just kind of happened naturally, which is awesome. All right, and then I think we'll put the purple penta here on the side. And the key to hanging baskets is to make sure that everything you plant in them can handle the same conditions. So if a plant is going in full sun, you obviously need to be able to plant plants that can take full sun and the same amount of water, because the challenge is how to keep the water in different levels. And that's really, really difficult in a hanging basket. So the thing about hanging baskets this small is that they dry out so quickly that that's really not something to be concerned about with something this small. But when you get to bigger hanging baskets, that is something that you'll want to consider. All right, I'll just add a little dirt to top it off. And the penta's not open, and I'm just hoping that it will be that pink color because I thought the pink with the yellow will be super, super cute. All right, one down, one to go. Let's set this on the side and let's get this other one going. These are great too because you can put them along a fence. So I'm going, since it's going on the greenhouse on either side, I'm going to do a reverse image of that one onto this one. And so everything will just be in reverse. Let me see. And I think I'll put that one on the right and I'll put this one on the left. So I would put, I guess I'll put the Mondo goes on this side then. But this is a little more challenging than I'm used to, but let's see. I think I'll put the Mondo on this side. And then we'll put the dichondra next to that. All right, well, the Penta is small right now, but it is going to fill this whole backside. So I'm not going to put something else here. I feel like that'll be a little bit too much competition. I'm going to give it space to grow. All right, and I think that looks pretty cute. All right, let's hang this up. But before I do, I like for the drip to come in behind it. Feed it up and in. Okay. We're going to open up the drip, turn it on, and make sure it's working before I just leave it. Okay, so here is the final basket. I think they're going to be so cute once the pentas start growing and those zinnias start falling. All right, anyways, that is it for today. I'm so thankful for you guys joining and watching, and always appreciate your comments and support. So if you did like the video today, make sure you give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.